Have you ever wondered why people only truly notice you once you're gone? Why does it seem that in our absence, we are seen for the very essence we once shared so freely? This hidden truth, the deeper spiritual law, is not about abandonment, but a subtle dance of energy, presence, and boundaries. In this moment of disconnect, the universe is whispering, you are meant for something more. You are meant to reclaim the sacredness of your soul, your energy, and your time. But how? Today, we delve into the transformative journey of understanding why your presence often goes unnoticed until it's no longer available. We'll explore the mystical power of silence, the sacred art of setting boundaries, and how the universe itself conspires to realign your path once you remember your own worth. We'll uncover why endless giving is not love, why your energy must be preserved, and how true authenticity can only arise when you no longer seek validation from the world. These are not mere philosophical musings. They are the very keys to your spiritual awakening. To those who feel invisible, to those who are tired of giving their light away without it being recognized, this is a call to return to your center. You are not meant to be a shadow in your own life. What will you choose? A life of endless sacrifice or a life of sacred sovereignty, where your energy is treasured and your true essence shines brightly for all to see? Before we dive deeper, let me ask you, have you ever felt unseen despite giving everything? Have you noticed how some relationships drain your energy, leaving you with nothing to give to yourself? Share your experience in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, many people who watch our videos are not yet subscribed. Don't miss out on the next transformative lesson. Hit that subscribe button now, because the next step in your journey of self-discovery is just one click away. Stay with us until the end. What we reveal today could change your life forever. There's a quiet kind of disappearance that happens when someone gives too much of themselves. Without realizing it, they start to vanish into the background of other people's lives, like a song that once stirred the soul, but now plays unnoticed. In the universe of human connections, availability is a precious currency. When it flows too freely, its spiritual weight diminishes, and the once vibrant presence dissolves into a ghostly familiarity. The mystical soul feels this erosion before the mind can name it. Subtle aches, moments of emptiness, flashes of sadness, all are secret messages from the deeper self, urging a return home. Imagine a flame, once bright, now flickering under the weight of constant winds. The soul, in its profound spirituality, sends symbols, dreams of being lost, memories of being overlooked, or even the sudden exhaustion that no sleep can heal. These are the whisperings of the universe itself, crafting signs through everyday life. Carl Jung spoke often of this inner voice, minds the self, tirelessly seeking reunion with our conscious awareness. But when we ignore these signals, we risk becoming mere echoes in other people's stories, instead of the radiant center of our own. In this mystic dance between giving and receiving, over-availability begins as an act of love, but quietly becomes an act of self-erasure. One starts answering every call, meeting every need, smiling through every slight discomfort, until, eventually, their absence is the only thing capable of being noticed. It's a painful irony. Only in retreat does the seeker reclaim the shape of their soul in the eyes of others. The universe, in its ancient wisdom, uses absence to teach the forgotten power of presence. If you find yourself drained, restless, longing for something nameless, this, too, is sacred. It's the mystic pull of your true essence rising to the surface, demanding acknowledgement. Spirituality teaches that imbalance is never random. It is choreography for awakening. You're being called not to give more, but to remember who you are beneath all the roles you've performed for love, acceptance, or survival. Returning to yourself is not selfishness. It is a cosmic necessity. Consider the symbol of the hermit, that ancient archetype carrying a lantern into the darkness. His solitude is not loneliness, but a profound act of realignment with the universe. You, too, are invited to step back, not out of bitterness, but out of reverence for your sacred fire. There's a hidden magnetism, born from honoring your own boundaries, a spirituality that shines without needing to beg for recognition. Invisibility was never your destiny. It was a lesson. Through practices like reflective journaling, silent walks under the open sky, or simply sitting in stillness, one can begin to hear again the soft drumbeat of the soul. Notice how the universe conspires to restore those who dare to withdraw. Serendipities bloom. Old burdens fall away, and a new sense of sacred worth quietly blossoms. The mystical truth is that disappearance from the noise is often the first step toward true visibility in the realm of the spirit. Thus, when the soul sends out signals, when fatigue feels cosmic, when yearning feels existential, it's not weakness, it's spirituality reminding you that you were never meant to be background music in your own life. The soul's architecture demands recognition, sacred space, and the slow, holy unfurling of authentic presence. Absence used wisely becomes an invocation of deeper connection, not only with others, but with the very fabric of the universe itself. And so the seeker learns. The invisibility born from over-availability is not a punishment but a portal, a threshold to be crossed with tenderness, courage, and a vow to oneself to exist fully, fiercely, and freely once again. The soul awaits on the other side, carrying gifts of mystica remembrance and universal belonging. As one chapter closes, another, quieter, richer, quietly begins to unfold. In a world that glorifies noise and endless validation, silence becomes an act of quiet rebellion, a mystical sanctuary where true presence is born. The ancient seekers always knew, you don't have to announce your value to the universe. It reveals itself through the stillness you embody. Silence, when held with intention, weaves an invisible aura that magnetizes without effort. It's not about withdrawing from life, it's about stepping into a deeper vibration of spirituality, where being speaks louder than words. Picture a mountain shrouded in mist at dawn. It doesn't proclaim its majesty, it simply exists, and in its silent grandeur, it humbles all who witness it. Likewise, those who cultivate conscious silence radiate a power that the superficial world can neither replicate nor diminish. This kind of presence isn't loud or demanding. It's subtle, but it echoes through the mystical fabric of the universe. It's an unseen force that others feel long before they understand it. Carl Jung understood this secret well. He spoke of the numinous, the feeling of awe and wonder before something greater than ourselves. True presence is numinous. It arises when a soul becomes aligned with its own inner cosmos, when spirituality is no longer something practiced, but lived. Silence becomes the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the conscious and the unconscious, between the seeker and the infinite dance of existence. The universe whispers in symbols, not shouts. A sudden chill, a flash of déjà vu, a feather in your path. These are the subtle languages of synchronicity, communicating through the veil of silence. Those who are always speaking miss these signs, but those who embrace stillness become interpreters of the cosmos, reading the patterns and listening to the invisible music of mystica wisdom all around them. Silent presence transforms spaces. Imagine walking into a room and feeling a shift, a sense of grounding, a subtle charge in the air. That is the spirituality of an aligned soul, making itself known without a single word. It's the kind of energy that can heal without touch, inspire without speeches, and awaken without sermons. In silence, the soul becomes a beacon, and the universe responds with reverence. To nurture this sacred silence, simple practices suffice. Early mornings spent in meditation, sunset rituals of gratitude, writing dreams before the noise of the day begins. Even the act of mindful breathing, done with intention, reconnects the seeker with the deep rhythmic pulse of the universe. Each silent act is a seed planted in the unseen soil of the spirit, growing roots that will one day burst forth as luminous transformation. Yet this silence is not empty, it's fertile. Within it stirs the raw materials of creation, intuition, clarity, sacred vision. Silence is where the soul repairs itself, where fragmented pieces are gathered lovingly into wholeness. It's the workshop of the self, hidden from the world, yet creating revolutions that will one day change destinies. It is in silence that true mastery of spirituality begins, whispered in the language only the soul understands. And so the disciple learns. Real presence is not about being seen, it's about being felt. In the stillness, you become a living mirror of the universe, reflecting the mystica truths others have forgotten but deeply yearn for. As the noise fades away, another, Mystery awaits the seeker, a deeper understanding of energy, boundaries, and the sacred fire within. There's a subtle tragedy that unfolds when a soul offers itself endlessly to the world. Little by little, their sacred fire, once vibrant, untamed, alive, begins to wane. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow unraveling, like a river that over time carves itself into nothingness. The spiritual realm teaches us that energy is not infinite when carelessly dispersed. Without sacred containment, the universe within us starts to fragment, and the self, the divine center Carl Jung so often spoke of, begins to slip away. Imagine a chalice meant to hold the elixir of life, poured out, drop by precious drop, into 1,000 outstretched hands until nothing remains. The mystica vitality that once connected the soul to its higher purpose becomes diluted, exhausted, almost imperceptible. Over-availability, cloaked as kindness, becomes an unconscious betrayal of one's own. A spirituality. It's the unseen corrosion of being, the silent theft of essence, all because the sacred duty to protect oneself was forgotten. In this slow erosion, the seeker loses touch with the inner rhythms that once kept them aligned with the universe. Signs emerge: chronic fatigue, scattered thoughts, sudden apathy. These are not just symptoms of a busy life. They are sacred alarms ringing from the deeper self, warning that the path has strayed from its true north. In mystica terms, the soul starts to flicker like a candle in the wind, yearning for the shelter of inner devotion. Spirituality reminds us, to give is divine, but to give without discernment is to bleed one's own light into the void. The soul was never meant to be a reservoir drained by the world's demands. It was designed to flow in harmony with the universe, sharing its essence in sacred reciprocity, not in martyrdom. This is a truth the wise ones have always known. Unchecked generosity can become a silent self-abandonment. In the symbolic language of dreams, this loss might appear as leaking vessels, broken bridges, or endless wandering. These metaphors are not random. They are the unconscious mind's way of expressing the spiritual breach that occurs when boundaries dissolve. Jung called this the voice of the unconscious, striving to bring the psyche back into wholeness. If we ignore these calls, we risk losing ourselves completely in a labyrinth of misplaced loyalties and exhausted identities. To heal, the seeker must turn inward and recognize that protecting their energy is an act of reverence, not arrogance. Practices like soul retrieval meditations, writing letters to one's lost self, or ritually releasing old obligations can help reclaim the sacred flame. It's a mystical journey of remembering that one's existence is not just valuable, it's holy. It belongs first and foremost to the self, and then, selectively, to the world. In preserving energy, the soul does not become cold or closed. It becomes focused, intentional, radiant. Like the sun that shines without chasing after every shadow, the seeker learns to offer their light where it will nurture true growth. The universe responds in kind, restoring vitality, deepening intuition, and weaving new patterns of meaningful connection rooted in authenticity. And so, a deeper lesson unfolds. Endless giving without sacred boundaries is a slow death of the self, but conscious stewardship of energy, honoring one's limits, embracing one's sacredness, becomes an act of spiritual defiance against a world that consumes without gratitude. Beyond this threshold, the seeker steps into a new reality where love, connection, and creativity flow not from depletion, but from abundance, and where the soul's mystica fire burns once more fierce and eternal. There's an ancient secret whispered across the winds of time. Not every hand that reaches for your light deserves to hold it. In the mystical dance of existence, discernment is not cruelty. It is a profound act of spirituality. Your energy is sacred, a living flame born from the universe itself. It was never meant to be squandered on those who cannot see, honor, or cherish the luminous essence you carry. To guard your energy is to acknowledge the mystica truth that your soul is a treasure, not a common commodity. Imagine a sacred temple in the heart of a forgotten forest, hidden behind veils of mist. Only those who walk the path with reverence, humility, and pure intention may find it. So too should your inner temple be protected. Carl Jung spoke of the need for psychological wholeness, a journey that demands the careful curation of relationships and environments. To offer your fire indiscriminately is to invite desecration. To share it wisely is to participate in the sacred reciprocity that governs the universe. The signs are often clear, if only we dare to see them. Drained conversations, relationships built on convenience, the subtle ache after giving too much. These are not coincidences. They are the soul's quiet warnings, the universe's gentle nudges. Spirituality teaches that energy follows intention. When your light is met with disregard or exploitation, the mystica currents around you shift, pulling you out of alignment with your true self. Protecting your energy requires a sacred ruthlessness, a willingness to let go of what no longer nourishes the spirit. This doesn't mean closing the heart. It means refining it, like a master sculptor chipping away the unnecessary to reveal the divine form within. Practices such as energy cleansing, conscious cord cutting, and intentional solitude become vital tools for the seeker. They clear the pathways, allowing your soul's light to burn brighter and higher, in rhythm with the universal symphony. Some might call this arrogance. Let them. The path of individuation, as Jung described, demands that we walk away from the collective illusions that demand our obedience and exhaustion. True spirituality is not about pleasing everyone. It is about honoring the divine blueprint written within your bones, your blood, your dreams. It is a return to the sacred contract you made with the universe before you even arrived here. In protecting your energy, you become a living testament to the mystical laws of balance and integrity. Like the phoenix, you rise not because you gave your ashes to every passerby, but because you guarded your fire until it was strong enough to transform your very being. Your selective presence becomes a gift, not an expectation, a sacred offering to those who are ready to receive, honor, and mirror your own truth. Reflect for a moment. Where have you been giving out of fear, habit, or obligation? Where has your flame dimmed instead of ignited? These are not small questions. They are invitations from the universe to return home to yourself. Through practices like silent retreats, dream journaling, or simply spending time alone under the stars, you reconnect with the wellspring of energy that was never meant to be drained, only shared with reverence. And so the seeker awakens to a deeper reality. The world is full of hands reaching for your light, but few are prepared to hold it with care. By choosing wisely, you do not diminish your love. You elevate it. You weave yourself back into the mystical tapestry of the universe, where every offering is sacred, and every connection is a mirror of your soul's true worth. Beyond this revelation, an even greater wisdom awaits. Mastery over the emotions that arise in this dance of giving and guarding. Emotions are sacred messengers, ancient and wise, flowing through the inner cosmos like rivers shaped by the unseen hand of the universe. Yet when they are allowed to flood without consciousness, they become tides that carry the soul away from its center. In the mystical journey of individuation, as Carl Jung taught, the seeker must learn not to deny emotions, but to master them, to feel deeply without surrendering the sovereignty of the self. True spirituality lies not in numbing feelings, but in transforming them into luminous awareness. Imagine standing before a vast ocean during a storm. The winds howl, the waves crash, the sky darkens, yet at the deepest depths the water remains still. So it must be within the soul. Surface emotions may rage and shift, but the seeker, anchored in mystica consciousness, learns to dive beneath the chaos, finding the silent, unshakable depths of being. Mastery is not the absence of storms, but the unwavering presence amidst them. Feeling everything is a gift, a sign of a soul tuned to the frequencies of life. But reacting to everything, that is dispersion, the slow leaking away of the soul's sacred fire. The universe offers countless opportunities to practice this art. A harsh word, a closed door, an unexpected betrayal. These are not mere misfortunes. They are training grounds for emotional alchemy. Through mindfulness, dream interpretation, and symbolic meditation, the seeker transmutes reaction into response, pain into power, chaos into clarity. Carl Jung revealed that the unconscious seeks consciousness, that all we repress or deny will eventually rise, demanding integration. Emotional mastery, then, is not repression, it's illumination. It is holding anger, sorrow, joy, and fear in open hands, listening to their wisdom without letting them dictate one's destiny. This mystica art transforms the soul into a true alchemist, capable of weaving even the darkest emotions into golden threads of self-awareness. Practical spirituality invites daily rituals to cultivate this mastery, writing unsent letters to express hidden emotions, practicing breathwork to anchor the body, or engaging in nightly reflections to understand the symbolic meaning behind emotional triggers. These acts are not mere coping mechanisms. They are sacred dialogues with the self, a way of conversing with the universe through the language of feeling and consciousness. The world often teaches that sensitivity is weakness, that emotional control means suppression. But in the ancient traditions of mysticism, sensitivity is recognized as a divine antenna, a way to perceive the invisible currents of existence. The difference between drowning and navigating lies in awareness. The seeker who listens to emotions without becoming enslaved by them steps into a higher octave of being, where intuition sharpens, relationships deepen, and the path forward becomes luminous. Think of the soul as a lyre strung with emotions. When played with skill, it produces the most haunting, beautiful melodies, songs that heal, inspire, and connect. But when played by unconscious forces, it becomes a cacophony, each string vibrating wildly, drowning the original music of the self. Emotional mastery is the art of learning this sacred music, aligning each feeling with the deeper rhythms of the universe. And so, the seeker discovers, to feel everything without being ruled by anything is the ultimate freedom. It is the gateway to conscious creation, to living as a co-artist with the divine. As emotional storms are transmuted into inner peace, another sacred threshold appears, one that leads into the ritual of sacred detachment, where the soul learns to release what no longer serves its evolution. There comes a time in every seeker's journey when the soul, burdened by old stories, broken dreams, and worn-out identities, whispers for release. Letting go is not a weakness, nor is it a defeat. It is a sacred ritual of rebirth, a mystical shedding of the skins that no longer fit the evolving self. In the great unfolding of spirituality, the universe teaches that to cling is to stagnate, while to surrender is to flow with the hidden currents of transformation. Imagine the snake in the desert, sensing that its skin has become too tight, too brittle for its growing spirit. It does not mourn the old skin. It seeks the rough stone and begins the painful, necessary process of sloughing it off. So too must the soul recognize when attachments have become prisons. Carl Jung often spoke of the death and rebirth cycles of the psyche, how the self must dissolve old forms to ascend into new wholeness. In this light, every loss becomes sacred, every ending a portal to deeper existence. The mystica truth is that much of what we carry, the grudges, the regrets, the outdated versions of who we think we are, were never meant to be permanent. They were chapters, not prisons. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, sends signs, repeating patterns of pain, dreams of falling, the heavy weariness that clings even after sleep. These are invitations to the sacred ritual of letting go, not punishments. They are the quiet knocking of destiny at the door of consciousness. To engage in this spiritual rite, the seeker must turn inward with tenderness and courage. Rituals, such as burning old letters, symbolically cutting cords through meditation, or creating art that expresses release, are powerful acts of alignment. They anchor the soul's intention in the fabric of the universe, signaling readiness for new life. In this sacred space, spirituality and mystica awareness converge, revealing that what feels like loss is actually a homecoming to the true self. In daily life, letting go may look like stepping away from relationships that no longer nourish the soul, releasing ambitions that were built from fear rather than purpose, or forgiving the unforgivable, not to excuse but to free the self from chains unseen. Each act of release strengthens the soul's sovereignty, weaving new threads of light into the personal tapestry of existence. The universe rushes to meet those who dare to empty their hands in faith, offering gifts greater than the mind could imagine. The process is not without grief. Letting go demands mourning, not just for what was lost, but for the illusions that once gave comfort. It is a sacred grief, however, one that carves the soul into a vessel capable of holding greater truths. Carl Jung understood this paradox, that healing often feels like breaking first. In the breaking, the soul is reformed, not into what it once was, but into something vaster, truer, more aligned with the universal design. Dreams during times of release often take on archetypal themes, crossing bridges, losing teeth, flying freely. These are messages from the unconscious, affirming the transformation underway. By attuning to these symbols, by trusting the mystica language of the soul, the seeker moves with, rather than against, the divine rhythms of change. They no longer fear the unknown. They recognize it as the sacred womb from which new life emerges, and so the seeker understands, letting go is not an ending, but an initiation. It is the clearing of the inner temple to make space for the next sacred encounter with destiny. Beyond the surrender, another revelation awaits, the profound liberation of living authentically, guided not by external validation, but by the luminous compass of the self. In a world obsessed with external validation, living authentically is often seen as an act of quiet rebellion. To be yourself, wholly, unapologetically, without seeking the approval of others, is a mystical power that few truly comprehend. Carl Jung, in his exploration of the unconscious, understood the profound importance of self-acceptance in the individuation process. The soul must not depend on the world's recognition, but must instead root itself deeply in the universal truth of its own being. Only then does true freedom arise. Imagine a tree in a forest, its roots deep within the earth, its branches stretching toward the sky. It does not ask for the approval of the wind, the birds, or the passing travelers. It simply grows, because it is its true nature to do so. So too must the soul of the seeker grow, regardless of how others perceive it. Spirituality teaches that the self is not to be molded by the opinions of others, but to be shaped by the quiet whispers of inner truth. Only when the soul stands firm in its authenticity can it truly begin to shine, untainted by the need for outside affirmation. In the mystical realms, approval from others is an illusion. It can be fleeting, conditional, and often it reflects more of the other person's fears and desires than your own truth. When we seek approval, we give our power away, allowing someone else's perception of us to define our worth. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, speaks of a higher truth, that worth is inherent, unshakable, and exists independently of external praise. Your essence is enough. The signs of dependency on external approval are subtle but powerful. The fear of rejection, the anxiety of not being enough, the unspoken need for validation that makes you second-guess your every move. These are the quiet voices of insecurity, and they are not the true voice of the soul. The seeker must learn to distinguish between these external pressures and the steady, sacred beat of their own heart. When you stop looking outward for approval, you return to the sanctuary of your own being. To cultivate this authenticity, practices such as solitary reflection, journaling, and meditation on the self are vital. These are not self-indulgent habits. They are sacred rituals that reconnect the seeker with their true essence, clearing the distractions of the world to allow their inner truth to emerge. Even something as simple as standing in front of a mirror and affirming your own worth can be a powerful act of spiritual defiance, a way of declaring to the universe that your light shines, whether the world sees it or not. Carl Jung often spoke of the necessity of embracing the shadow, those aspects of ourselves that we hide, deny, or reject. True authenticity requires this shadow integration. It is the wholeness of being that allows the soul to stand in its power, unapologetically, free from the chains of societal expectations. The seeker who has embraced the full spectrum of their being, including their fears, doubts, and imperfections, no longer seeks approval from the world because they have already approved of themselves. In the symbolism of the phoenix, we see a perfect representation of this process. The phoenix does not seek permission to rise from its ashes. It does so because it is its nature to do so. When you stop living for others' approval, you too become like the phoenix, rising again and again, free, whole, and sovereign in your authenticity. This is the true meaning of freedom, to live as you are, not as others expect you to be. Thus, the seeker learns. The need for approval is a chain that binds the soul. By releasing it, one steps into the sacred power of self-reliance. True authenticity does not depend on how others perceive you. It depends solely on how you perceive yourself. And when you stand in this truth, the universe aligns with you, responding with opportunities, love, and connection that mirror the authenticity you have claimed as your own. So, what will you choose? To continue living for the approval of others, or to step into the light of your own sovereignty, free from the chains of external validation? The universe has been guiding you this entire time, through every moment of exhaustion, every sign of imbalance, and every feeling of being unseen. These are the mystical invitations to reclaim your energy, your space, and your true essence. Now it's time for you to act. How will you begin your journey back to the center of your own soul? Take a moment to reflect, share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know how you plan to honor your sacred energy from this moment onward. Your story matters, and your voice is needed in this space. Don't forget to subscribe to Celestial Truths and turn on the notifications so you can continue receiving transformative content that will guide you on your path of self-realization. The next video will reveal even deeper insights. Click on the recommendation and dive deeper into the mystical wisdom that awaits. If this message resonated with your soul, don't forget to subscribe to Celestial Truths and turn on the notifications so you won't miss the next steps on this mystical journey of transformation. And make sure to watch the next video appearing on your screen. It will take you even deeper into the hidden forces that shape your reality. I'm grateful you were here. See you on the next journey. This is Celestial Truths.